And so you guys break up in '95 ish. Is that when you decided to start focusing on songwriting again?
No, one more failed album, and then I decided to start working on it.
Okay.
Dropped by the label. It was just, it was so disappointing. But I wasn't into it. The band was something special. The next band, it just wasn't the same. And I had great players. Bob Britt, Kenny Vaughn was in the
Hmm.
band for a while. Uh, Keith Edwards, Randy Frazier, Gary Morse, our great steel guitar player friend that's now with Brooks and Dunn. We knew and was in McBride and the Ride forever. So it wasn't that. It was just I lost my desire to be in a band. Now all of a sudden I'm carrying it, and we brought in we brought in Timothy Schmidt,
Wow.
Max Carl. We brought in these wonderful singers. We had to still have that harmony thing. But the magic was gone. It was lost. It's like I might as well. I really wanted to go on and do a solo deal, not another band without the original band. But the label felt no, there's stock in that brand, and you got to keep going. And oh boy, so I
Yeah.
did, but it wasn't my best effort, and because of it, it ended after that. And at that same time, I'd been writing some songs, thinking about a solo deal, and wrote this song with Monty Powell called "I Am That Man." And I thought we went in, and he kind of cut a track on me like he was my producer. Tony Brown, there again, he introduced me. He's like, I think you should get with Monty. He's producing Diamond Rio. I think you guys would work well together. The first day we got together, we wrote this song called I Am That Man. Then he cut it on me. I knew it was a good song. I knew I could sing it well. It fit in my country, simple tenor kind of
Mhm.
hillbilly voice. And so I took it to the label. My head of promotion, he just didn't hear it. He's like, I don't know. I was so disappointed. And then about a week later, Brooks and Dunn put it on hold. And then about a month later or so, they cut it. And then I ran into Ronnie one day. He's like, man, Terry, I love that song. It's going to be a single. And let's get together. He said, why don't you come by the house and let's visit? And I didn't know Ronnie other than we had been nominated. I'd see he and Kix. Kix co-wrote Sacred Ground. So I knew Kix a
Okay.
little. Uh, but I didn't know Ronnie other than seeing him. We opened some fair dates, big festivals in California, things like that. But he said, "Come by the house, man." So I did. I went over to his house. They'd been gone on a vacation, and he said, "I'm going to call you." And then he didn't call me. I thought, "Oh boy, that didn't last long." But he had been on a family trip, and when he got home, he's like, "Man, come by the house." So I did. We hit it off. We laughed, and I mean, it's like an old guy, like a friend from high school or something. We had so much in common, our family history, our musical taste, all that. We just kind of hit on everything. And he's like, man, I'm getting off the band bus. I'm getting my own bus. As long as you come go with me to California, I'm going to be gone for 15 days, he said. So I got on the bus. We headed west, and we wrote 10 songs in 15 days on that trip.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were off and running. And that turned into a 13-year job or a side gig for me, which worked out pretty well.
You're talking about the Brooks and Dunn stuff, right? I think it was 20. What is it? 25 songs cut by them.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's a nice side gig if you can get it right.
Yeah, yeah. I still had a publishing deal. I was writing for Orbison Publishing, and so yeah, when I wasn't on the road, which I was on those guys were at the height of their hillbilly rock stars at that particular time, only playing the big sheds, and it was fun, 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 and and we were getting a lot of work done
Right.
when the show wrapped up. Ronnie had all this energy. So if I had an idea, it was the perfect time to you know share it with him and see if we couldn't get the ball rolling. We wrote almost everything on the road on that bus, just about a couple
Yeah.
things in the barn. With Wrote a couple cool things with Chris Stapleton and Ronnie. I brought Chris over because I loved him and I wanted Ronnie to meet him. He didn't know really. He started hearing a little about him. I think he got a demo. He heard Chris singing.
Hmm.
I said, "Well, I'll book a date. I'll bring him over." And we had so much fun. We wrote a couple cool things. One that's been cut by a young kid already from Texas, Braxton Keith. You might know
I love
Braxton.
Braxton Keith. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
blowing up right now, man.
yeah. He wrote that song. He recorded the song called "Honky Tonk City." I don't know if you've ever heard that song or not, but
I'm
one
not
of his
sure, but
earlier,
yeah, he's
one of
doing
his
great.
earlier. Yeah, he is. really doing well. He cut a couple songs, something else. A Chris Stapleton thing I wrote with Chris and Alan Jackson cut it called "I'm Gonna Come Back" as a country
It's a
song.
great song. Yeah, great song.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah,
man. That's one of
yeah.
my favorite songs. It's just I love what it says. And heck, our demo in the room, our work tape already sounded like something really cool. Chris, he sings so good in the room. It's you almost don't need to go and demo it after that. But
Yeah, he's just such a great songwriter, man. Just iconic artist as well. There's not much not to like about Chris Stapleton, man. Jesus,
yeah,
what a icon in the business, in my opinion. Jesus, man.
just unbelievable. And when
Yeah,
we first met him, he was just a young guy, kind of naive and just very humble, extremely humble. Like
yeah.
he didn't know if anything would ever happen for him. It's
I
like,
feel
man,
like he
you're-
understands himself better than most artists, right? Like he's so comfortable in his own skin.
yeah, he doesn't have to pretend to be
Yeah.
anything other than what you see is what
Hmm.
you get from him. And his voice is so authentic and genuine and soulful. And but in the beginning, when he first came to town, he just didn't fit the mold. He didn't look the part. He didn't sound. Nobody. They didn't have a Chris Stapleton at any
That's right.
label, or
Yeah.
especially not on the radio.
Hmm.
And that would be quite a
Which is crazy to think
risk.
about now because the labels are trying to find Chris Stapleton Part 2 now. Like,
There's so many guys that
yeah. Hmm.
sound and look the part for
Hmm.
sure. But
Exactly.
well, that's the way it is. And any kind of sort of country is like pop culture. It's
Yeah,
like
it's just
whatever's
crazy to
cool.
think that there was a time before Chris Stapleton. You know what I mean?
I remember it well, and we were stuck in a bit of a rut, as I
Yeah,
recall.
I agree.
Oh,
Yeah,
unfortunately, it was
he
a
definitely brought us out of that rut, no doubt about it.
it was a sad time for a mature songwriter to
Mhm.
try to be writing tailgate bonfire, you know, moneymaker songs at the time because it was just that same song was being rewritten
Mhm.
every day and being released. Not only were the themes of the songs so much alike, the lyrics are just that was took a different path. They went a different direction of someplace I just didn't feel good
Yeah,
about.
I'm just
But
thank
there,
goodness for him though, because I feel like Chris Stapleton is the direct reason why Americana music is blowing up right now.
oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah,
just there's
I
so many
agree.
artists that are coming out right now that are making waves in Americana that are just fabulous songwriters and stuff. And I don't think there's a room for them if Chris Stapleton doesn't open that door for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it opened people's ears. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
that CMA performance with Justin Timberlake. I know he had been struggling. The first album didn't even do well. It's like, what's going to happen? And he just walked out there and gave it everything he had and had that audience won over everybody watching in a matter of minutes, because it
Yeah,
was like, good God, what just happened? That was so different and it was just so big and powerful. The arrangement was so incredible. Then to end it with Tennessee Whiskey, it's like, oh my God, he just slayed, and
hmm,
he still does. He just,
yeah.
I have a lot of songs with Chris, and I pulled some up the other day, mainly our work tapes, and it's just so crazy to hear how good he's singing in the room.
Hmm.
But I love him. I miss him. Haven't seen him. I cut this duet with Patty Loveless on my solo record called "Rebels and Angels," a song I wrote with Chris.
God, I love
So
that song too.
oh, thanks,
And
man.
Patty Loveless, I was a huge fan of Patty's, and man, a
Oh,
thousand times a day, and oh my gosh, all of
oh,
those songs back in the day.
I wrote "Going Out of My Mind" with Costas purely because he wrote all those cool Patty things.
Yeah, yeah,
Timber, I'm
yes.
falling in
Golly,
love. I
those were
mean,
the days, man.
blame it on your cold dead beat and two-time and double dealing. Oh my God. Yeah, she was. I had a big crush on her. As
Same,
much
yeah.
as
Her delivery of a lyric was just insane, man. Like,
it still is, even on
yeah,
that song. I had to
yeah.
work to try to figure the harmony with her because she's got some cool bluegrass things that she can still obviously do and
Oh
do
yeah,
well.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I was fortunate to get her on that record. One of our very first tours was the Desert Rose Band, McBride and the Ride and Patty Loveless. It was
Wow.
a Canadian tour. First time I'd really been to some parts. I'd been to Canada with Delbert, Vancouver, and but we toured all the Midwest, Alberta. And we went all the way across from one coast to the other. But that was a great experience as well, being close and getting to know someone a little bit on the road like that. And having her sing on that record, she's pretty picky. She let me know that right away. So I was flattered and honored. And one of those
Yeah.
things I'll always
Man, the iconic
cherish.
vocalists are usually very picky, and they have a right to be, right? Like
Yeah, you bet.
yeah. I
You
mean,
bet.
the ones that have been doing it and know how to deliver a message and a song and a feeling, right? Delivering that feeling is, I can imagine why she's picky. It's got to be that way,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. She has got a thing that nobody else can do, and a lot of people tried back in the day, but she was having success. A lot of
Man, I tell you what, you're just name dropping like my entire wish list of interviews, right? Like Chris Stapleton and Patty Loveless and Delbert
oh
McClinton.
man,
Like, yeah, man.
oh yeah. Those are some interesting people. So
Yeah.
fortunate to spend a little time and rub some elbows with. It's fun for me still. I still enjoy it.
Oh, you can
Whether
see
it's
the passion, man. I see your videos, like your video with Kinfo. That I absolutely love that song too. That you guys did together. You can see the love
oh
still there, man.
oh, those guys are so kind and so cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love Kinfo, man.
Diamond Rico, that's what I call him.
Yeah, Rico's
But
amazing. Yeah, we did an episode with them. It was still one of the most funny things we've ever done on the show, man.
oh, I can only imagine. Yeah, those
Yeah,
guys. We ended up doing a few shows together. They opened for McBride and the Ride, and
yeah.
I came down and shot that little video
Yep.
with them. And yeah, they're good guys. I'm glad they're still doing well and hardworking band.
Yeah, they're really cool. I love again Texas music, right? Um,
Yeah, but
so you're talking about like the idea of going out as a solo artist as early as the mid '90s here, but yet your very first solo release was not until 2017. Talk about that. It was called Hotels and Highways, and again another great album of yours. I guess it'd be an EP. I guess would
yeah,
technically.
that's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you finally got a solo release. Who do you have to talk into this?
Well, I took about 20 years off,
Yeah. Yep.
so I was well rested to say the least. And that was just a publisher that I was writing for at the time. They were instrumental in convincing me I should be doing something. I was quite comfortable having success and not being in the spotlight. There's no pressure.
Hmm.
Like even with Ronnie, I had the only pressure would be what I put on myself, to try to come up with an idea or something. And then I just had to be on the bus when it was rolling. That was the
Hmm.
not a lot of responsibility and a whole lot of fun. I could come and go, and I knew releasing something or trying to be a solo artist is something you need to be committed to. One, finding good songs that could fit you to start a record, and that's really what Hotels and Highways. We wrote that song, and I wasn't even thinking about it, but I thought I went in and a young guy was going to sing it, and then they had me. I just sang the scratch,
Yeah.
but the other songwriter liked the scratch so much that he did some editing to it, and I'll be dang if when he sent it back, I went, man, I could sing that song. So I did. I went back in and I put my vocal on it, and I love what the song says. It was one of those songs that I could see all of it as it sort of poured out of us that day, and I loved it. It's been my life, Hotels and Highways. It's all I've ever known, just like the song says,
So it's very
I mean,
autobiographical then.
oh, most definitely. I mean, even from a childhood with my dad, hotels have always been a part of my life, even
Yep.
with him way back when I was a kid, a lot of traveling and staying in hotels, or he was playing in hotels. And so, yeah, of course I relate, and traveling, it's part of what I do, but more so than that, just like, on the road, being gone, and still proud of that song, proud of that EP. Every song on there turned out about the way I'd hoped. That little song California is really cool. And
Hmm.
way back, and Boots Off, that was a song I still enjoy playing. People really uh, seem to like that tune. So that's good. So my first attempt, and I felt pretty good about it. And
I
then
love that
that
stuff,
wrote,
man. And then again, Rebels and Angels, which you talked about a little bit, which your first debut, I guess your debut album as a solo artist, full length record, that was in
yeah.
2020. Um,
Ah,
so talk about the differences. I don't know, maybe creatively between like a solo record and a record with a band, because you've done both.
oh yeah. Well, you're right. That's the band is so harmony oriented. We try to keep that in mind, just so we can, show that side of what we do, show it off a little bit.
That's
It's always
signature,
cool.
right? Yeah.
And if we can get a cool eagle-y sounding thing, which we all love, there was so much harmony when I was a kid growing up. I mean,
Hmm.
especially through the '70s, we had even Poco or Pure Prairie League, which I really liked, and I saw Vince with Pure Prairie League early on, and um, I was just sort of drawn to that sort of thing. That the Eagles came along, of course, that was really cool. But you know, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. I mean, there was a lot back in the day, and we sort of pulled from that, especially when you realize you got three guys that had a blend that you can utilize that. All of a sudden, we're a four-piece band. It sounded a lot bigger than four pieces,
Yeah,
because
it
we
sure
had
did. Yeah.
three-part harmony on every chorus. Some of the verses, we used it like that. And so, yeah, it's different. With my solo thing, I can say and do anything I want. I can
Yeah.
be, but there's nothing in my solo that really wouldn't fit McBride and the Ride. It's still kind of country. It's still kind of my melodies and things that I
Would you
like to
think it's
sing.
more raw? Would you classify it as more raw?
Oh, my solo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably so for sure. Because McBride and the Ride was very contemporary.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We brought a different. It was our version of sort of traditional music, but it was a little more sort of uh, metropolitan or whatever. The
Yeah.
arrangements
Yeah.
got bigger. They got a little more lush. It wasn't just a four-piece band anymore. By the time
Hmm.
Sacred Ground came out, it was
Right.
already getting bigger. And Steve Gibson was a great musician, producer. He and Tony Brown, they were going for it, and we loved them for it. And that was Sacred Ground, Going Out of My Mind, Just One Night. I think that was all from that record. So we had a little run. Then the next album was Love on the Loose. So we hit the ground running with a little top 10, top 5 single, and then Hurry Sundown. And then that was it. We did our final single together was 8 Seconds, No More Crying, for the movie 8 Seconds. That was the last thing we did as the band
Yeah.
at that time. Then we came back and did Amarillo Sky in 2002, I think.
Right. Right. So here's one last question before we take a brief 5-second break for a commercial, and then we're gonna have some fun with you. I have some fun segments I think you'll enjoy.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
All right. So I love this question because it's so it's like a self perspective thing. You've mentioned a lot of names and a lot of different moments that have been catalysts for your path, not just your life, but your career, your music, your art.
Yeah.
Can you name the one person or moment that was the most responsible for you being where you are today?
Well, I mean, it's the people I mentioned. I mean, of course, I couldn't have learned and done or had the experience I I had at an early age if it wasn't for my dad.
Right.
I had any question I had, he was like a music scholar.
Mhm.
He could break it down to flats and sharps and tell you why it happens and why key is that signature, and just way above my head. And even what I do, I learned the number chart and simple stuff, and that's the way I was. So he was so well versed in music, and could basically break it down to writing it in front of you and making sense of it. So that was a huge turning point for me at 9 years old.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
never, I never looked back, Chris. I
Your
really never
early
had.
education for sure.
I did a few odd jobs, but nothing serious. It was always music.
Mhm.
And I was fortunate in high school to play in a really cool band. It was already very popular. Some older high school guys, young college guys. And that got me through high school. It was so much fun. And then my dad was having success. So I went right out of high school on the road with him.
Wow.
And so, as far as all of that was pretty life changing for me and gave me
Yeah.
a taste of something that I continued to long for the rest of my life. I still like it. I still enjoy it. Still get high from it.
And you can tell
Certain
for
moments.
sure. Definitely can tell. Yeah. Well, we're
It's a
here.
better high. It's a better high than some of the others I've had for
I
sure.
bet. Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Especially when you quit that bad stuff for you, right?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I'm telling you, those
Yeah.
days are gone.